Full-time employment is dying.
After announcing the board of its plans to lay off more than 9,000 employees today. Microsoft, after announcing.
Not because companies can't afford workers, because they found something cheaper. You're not an employee anymore. You're a cost to minimize, a liability to eliminate, a risk to externalize. And what's replacing full-time work isn't better. It's just more profitable for them. This is a story of how employment became disposable and what you are becoming instead. Before we get into today's topic, I want to quickly talk about something that's actually been helping me build new creative skills behind the scenes. Skillshare, who's sponsoring this video today. And I'm so excited because if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I'm a big believer in staying adaptable, especially with how fast work and creativity, they're changing. AI, everything. Lately, I've been taking a few classes on Skillshare to push myself creatively again. Things like Notion systems for creators, digital storytelling, and brand design. Honestly, it reminded me that learning doesn't have to feel like school. It can feel like building your next chapter. And this is what makes Skillshare so unique, and what I love about it. It's not just random tutorials. It's real creators and entrepreneurs teaching the things they do every day. There are thousands of creative classes, from graphic design and film editing to productivity, entrepreneurship, and creative tech. You can take them at your own pace, build actual projects, and even connect with others doing the same thing. If you've been wanting to learn something new or just feel inspired again, and guess what? The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare plus 20% off your first year. Get started today. Spark something new for you. So let's start with what full-time employment was supposed to be. For most of the 20th century, full-time employment came with a package: salary or hourly wage, health insurance, pension or retirement plan, paid vacation, sick leave, unemployment insurance, workers' compensation, and guess what? Some job security. This wasn't generosity. This was the deal. Workers organized. Unions fought for this. Governments regulated. And companies agreed. In exchange for your labor, you get stability, benefits, a stake in the company's success. The implicit contract was work hard, stay loyal, and guess what? We'll take care of you. Retire with dignity. Get a pension. Have security. That's what the employment model from roughly the 1940s through the 1980s was. And then it ended. But what changed? In the 1980s, corporate ideology is shifted. Shareholder values became the only priority. Labor went from asset to cost. Companies realized, why carry the cost of full-time employees when you can externalize it? Benefits are expensive. Pensions are liabilities. Job security limits flexibility. So they started dismantling this model. In 1980s, mass layoffs became acceptable, even celebrated. 1990s, outsourcing exploded. 2000s, temp agencies and contract work normalized. 2010s, gig economy launched. 2020s, full-time employment is the exception, not the rule. Today, somewhere between 35 to 40% of the U.S. workforce is contingent labor, contractors, freelancers, gig workers, temps, and that number is still growing. Because companies discover something. They don't need employees, they need labor. And labor is cheaper when it's disposable. So, what are you becoming if you're an employee? Let me show you the 4 categories replacing full-time employment. Category 1, the permalancer. What is this? So you work full-time hours for one company, doing the same job a full-time employee would do, but you're classified as a contractor. Why companies do this? No benefits, no health insurance, no retirement contributions, no pay time off, no unemployment insurance. When they let you go, you do the same work for 30 to 40% less total compensation. And when they don't need you anymore, no severance, no notice required, just your contract is ending. So who does this affect? Tech workers, writers, designers, marketers, project managers, anyone in knowledge work, really. Google has thousands of contractors doing full-time work. So does Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon. They sit at the same desk as employees, do the same work, but they're not actually employees. They're vendors, consultants, contract resources. Translation, disposable labor. Category number 2, the gig worker. So what is this one? No guaranteed hours, no fixed schedule, paid per task or delivery. So why do companies do this one? Zero labor costs when demand is low, scale up instantly when demand is high, no benefits ever. You're not an employee, you're using our platform. Companies spent $200 million in California alone to keep gig workers classified as contractors, not employees. See, because employee status would cost them billions. So who does this affect? Drivers, delivery workers, handyman services, cleaning, childcare. I would say any task-based work. 15 million Americans rely on gig work as primary income. Another 30 million do it as supplemental income. That's 45 million people with zero job security, zero benefits, zero stability. Then you have category 3, the part-timer. The part-time permanent. What is this? It's a job, reliable schedule, but kept just under the hour threshold that require benefits. Why do companies do this? Well, federal law requires benefits at 30 hours per week, so companies schedule workers at 28 to 29 hours. You need full-time income, but you're getting part-time hours. So you work multiple part-time jobs. So who does this really affect? Retail, food service, healthcare support, hospitality, any hourly wage work, really. Companies use software to optimize scheduling, not for your convenience, for their cost minimization. You're scheduled just enough to be available, but not enough to qualify for benefits. Then you have category 4, the temp to never. What is this? Hired through staffing agencies, told it might become permanent, but it won't. Why do companies do this? No direct employment relationship, no benefits, no liability. Agency handles HR, payroll, insurance. You work at the company, but you don't work for the company. So who does this affect? Warehouse workers, manufacturing, administrative support, customer service. The temp staffing agency industry is worth $150 billion annually in the US, which is crazy. Companies lease workers the way they lease equipment. When they're done with you, they just return you back to the agency. And I know I sound so unforgiving, but it's the truth. 4 categories, all with one thing in common. Risk shifted from the company to the worker. No benefits, no security, no staking success, just labor. You're not an employee, you're a cost variable. So why did this happen? Well, reason 1. Labor is a huge cost, guys. For most companies, labor is 60 to 70% of operating costs. You cut labor costs 30 to 40% and profit margins soar. Full-time employee costs, example, salary, let's say $60,000, health insurance $12,000, retirement contribution $3,000, payroll taxes $4,500, pay time off $4,600, other benefits $2,000. That would take the total to around $86,000. Contractor doing the same work, contract rate $60,000, no benefits, total $60,000 at the end. Savings $26,000 per worker per year. Multiply that by 1,000 of workers. That's why companies do this. Not because they can't afford employees, because contractors are just more profitable. Now, reason number 2, a lot of people don't talk about, is flexibility. This is a term company use when they mean disposability. With full-time employees, you have fixed labor costs. Busy season or slow season, you're paying salaries, baby. With contractors and gig workers, you scale up and down instantly, only pay for labor when you really need it. It's efficient. For them, of course. For workers, it's income volatility. It's no predictability, no planning possible. Then you have reason 3, liability shield. When you're not an employee, the company isn't liable for discrimination claims, wrongful termination, workplace injuries in many cases, unemployment insurance, benefit lawsuits, union organization. To be honest, you're somebody else's problem. The agency, the platforms, your own. Companies have spent billions in legal fees defending contractor classifications because losing means having to treat workers like employees. And that costs a bit more. Then you have reason number 4, the shareholder pressure. Companies are pressured to increase profits every quarter, every year. When you've optimized everything else, labor is what's left to cut. Executives explicitly talk about workforce optimization and labor efficiency on earning calls. Translation: how do we get the same output with fewer employees? Answer: contractor, gig workers, temps, part-timers. But here's what's not said out loud. Worker productivity have increased 70% since 1979. Compensation has increased 12%. So the gap between what workers produce and what they're paid keeps growing. And the way companies capture that gap is by making labor cheaper, which means making you cheaper. So what does this mean for you as the employee if you're a worker in 2025, 2026 and beyond? It means employment model your parents had, that model is gone. Job security doesn't exist. Benefits are your responsibility. Retirement is on you. You're not building a career with one company. You're assembling income from multiple sources constantly. So here's what you need to know to survive and move forward. Always assume that you are temporary. Every job is temporary now, even the permanent ones. The average worker stays at a job 4.1 years. For millennials and Gen Z, it's closer to 2 to 3 years. Companies will let you go when it's convenient. So plan accordingly. Always be job searching, even when employed. I always say this and advocate for keeping your skills current and up to date. Constantly network. Save aggressively. You're like your own safety net at this point. Then you have number 2, benefits are your problem now. And if you didn't know, healthcare outside of your company is very expensive. Healthcare, retirement, disability insurance, life insurance used to be a part of the whole package. Now that's on you. If you're a contractor or a gig worker, factor in the cost of health insurance, $400 to $800 a month. For my family, it's like $1,800. Retirement, 10 to 15% of income. Taxes, 30 to 35%. No employer withholding. Your higher contractor rate isn't higher when you account for what's missing. Number 3, multiple income streams aren't optional. You can't rely on one source of income anymore because that income can disappear with zero notice. This isn't side hustle culture. It's survival. Build redundancy. Contract work plus freelance plus passive income, multiple clients, never just one. Make sure that your skills that transfer across all industries. My favorite tip is understand the game. You're not a valued team member. You're a line item. The company will optimize you out the moment it's profitable to do so. Don't take it personal, but don't be surprised either. Loyalty is one way now, from you to you. So make sure that you organize anyway. This system only works if workers stay isolated. Some workers are organizing anyway. Freelancer unions, gig worker coalitions, contractor collectives. It's harder to organize when everyone's disposable, but that's exactly why it matters. And honestly, here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't sustainable. You can't build a consumer economy when workers can't afford to consume. You can't have stable communities when everyone's income is volatile. You can't have innovation when workers are focused on survival. Eventually, this breaks. Either companies realize cheaper labor costs them in other ways, or workers force change, or the economy collapses under the weight of wage stagnation and debt. We don't know how it resolves, but we know it can't continue like this forever. So, the end of employee isn't about technology. It's not about AI. It's not about globalization. It's about power. Companies have it. Workers don't. It's always been like that. And until that changes, you're not an employee. You're a cost to minimize. Plan accordingly. Save aggressively. Diversify income. Build skills. Network constantly. Expect nothing. Prepare for everything. Because the employment model that gave your parents stability is gone. And what's replacing it is cheaper for them. The question isn't whether this is fair. The question is, how are you going to move and progress further when it happens to you? If you want more on this, first of all, hit the subscribe button. Join the community of deep thinkers. I want you here. I want to talk about why companies track everything you do, the economics of gig work, how to survive as a contract, so many things. Let me know in the comments below what your employment status, full-time contract gig, and how long do you think it'll last for you. As always, thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I am out.